Claims of an engagement had everyone buzzing, and rumors were flying high and fast, but it turned out that the whole thing was a bunch of bullshit. No ring, no secret boyfriend. It was only a rumor on the internet that got out of hand. However, some rumors fade away without causing any harm, while others have far more significant effects. In the case of the well-known Minnesota conjoined twins, Abby and Brittany Hensel, one rumor proved accurate. And the repercussions undoubtedly left many people stunned. Keep an eye out. The story, which had been silently circulating for years, was finally confirmed by their mother. Joshua Bowling, a nurse and veteran of the U.S. Army, married Abby. It was decided to keep things personal and the ceremony was private. That is, until 2024, when Joshua casually shared his story on social media. People were immediately curious and perplexed. Brittany and I do share a body, after all. In such a circumstance, how does something as personal as marriage function? Abby enjoys pink, puppies, and glitter. Brittany, a whole different vibe, more hats, and more subdued. They coexist in life as two different personas. Nobody understood how to ask the questions that were sparked by the possibility of one of them getting married. Here's the unexpected bit, though. Brittany didn't get a pass. Or dissatisfied with it. According to reports, she was in favor of the relationship from the start. She supported Abby and participated in all significant steps. This isn't your usual tale of love. However, there has never been a conventional plot in Abby and Brittany's lives. Most people are unaware of how much of an impact Joshua Bowling has on Abby and Brittany's lives. He was fascinated about their physical actuality, but like many others, he didn't arrive with a magnifying glass. Rather, he recognized them as individuals. His relationship with Abby was based on sincere trust and respect, which are basic but uncommon these days. Additionally, he showed Brittany the same amount of care and regard that he did Abby. Many people were left wondering how a marriage like this could ever function because this type of relationship doesn't fit the typical pattern that most people are accustomed to. But for Abby, Brittany, and Joshua, it was never about following the rules. They had no intention of conforming to a predetermined idea of love. They developed their own dynamic and rhythm, and it suited them. It goes without saying that the internet exploded with opinions as soon as word spread about Abby's marriage. The power, the love, and the uniqueness of it all left some people speechless. Not everyone was so nice. Responding suspiciously or inquiring excessively about intimate matters as though the twins owed them an explanation. Others had good intentions, but they were unable to understand the logistics. But throughout their lives, Abby and Brittany have had to put up with this kind of attention. As a result, they established a boundary around something as sacred as marriage. They were explicit. The rest is ours, and we only share what we like to share. It's not only a healthy limit. It's essential. Some people continue to overlook the fact that two women with hearts, minds, and the right to privacy are hidden beneath the news stories and films. The Hensel twins have been observed, researched, and occasionally misinterpreted since the beginning. However, their parents had no intention of allowing the curiosity of the outside world to define them. Rather, they provided them with something even more potent, a childhood that was as normal as it could be. Their parents deliberately fostered each twin's preferences and strengths, making sure Abby and Brittany were regarded as the distinct individuals they were, whether in their attire, interests, or attitude to school. They also celebrated each girl's individuality. And it was well worth the effort. It provided them with the self-assurance and independence they would require to navigate a society that isn't always sure how to react to those who are different. Because they had to, Abby and Brittany accomplished things that most people wouldn't even try as children. One side of their shared body is controlled by each twin. Therefore, engaging in any physical activity, such as swimming, walking, or sports, required true teamwork. The luxury of saying, "you do it yourself," was not available to them. In order to make things work, they had to work together to solve the problem. And they did. They carried that same resolve into school, where they did more than just keep up, they flourished. When it came to learning, they became inventive. They always managed to collaborate while maintaining their individuality, whether it was in the way they took notes, responded to inquiries, or finished tasks. People took note of them not out of sympathy, but rather because of their fortitude, wit, and grace in all that they accomplished. Abby and Brittany never desired special treatment, so it's no surprise that they gained the respect of both teachers and peers. All they wanted was the freedom to live their lives as they saw fit. Even when the world was unable to fully comprehend it, they continued to do that. Abby and Brittany wouldn't sit around wondering what might happen after all they had done. They both received education degrees from Bethel University in 2012, and they then went on to teach 4th and 5th grade. Those youngsters were curious at that age when they start asking all the questions you can imagine, but Abby and Brittany embraced it rather than becoming overwhelmed. They brought patience, inventiveness, and a connection style that most teachers can't match to their classrooms. Indeed, they received a single pay, which seemed a bit unjust given that they were contributing twice as much thought and care. However, because their objective was to make a difference rather than earn a job, they remained optimistic that people would begin to see what they really had to offer. Their co-workers and pupils soon noticed it as well. Everyone started talking again after hearing about Abby's nuptials. There were a lot of sympathetic and unsupportive queries and opinions on the internet. The topics of discussion ranged from independence and identity to the possibility of love between two people who share a body. However, Abby and Brittany's relationship remained strong despite all the commotion. Brittany was more than just her sister's advocate. Through it all, she was there. There is only respect, no drama, and no jealousy. It was one of those infrequent occasions when you become aware of how strong their bond is. Although they have always been close, this demonstrates how they continue to support one another's happiness even when life takes a challenging turn. Let's now discuss Joshua. He didn't merely marry Abby and put his life on hold. He assimilated with their lives. Additionally, he became friends with Brittany, which, to be honest, says a lot. He found his place in their universe, respected the dynamic, and made no attempt to alter anything. It had nothing to do with conforming to social norms or being normal. Finding what worked for them was the goal, and they succeeded in doing just that. People can still be inquisitive, though. Let's be honest. Some inquire about their daily routines, privacy, and even how they work together, which veers into the intimate realm. Abby and Brittany, on the other hand, have mastered the art of keeping what is most important to them. To be honest, they shouldn't have to provide every detail, and they've never been the type to do so. Everything that occurs behind the scenes is not always visible to the public. From the beginning, these two have been pushing the envelope. Their parents made sure they enjoyed a typical upbringing and that they knew they were appreciated for who they were. From their attire to their interests to the way they approached their studies at school, their variances were always respected. Did you also know that one of them used their left hand to learn how to play the piano? And the other on the right. As they grew older, they began to consider their desired futures and vocations. They experimented with everything from interior design and photography to dreams of becoming pilots. However, teaching ultimately felt natural. It brought together their passion for education, working with children, and demonstrating to others that being different is something to be embraced rather than feared. They gained the skills they needed to face the world with confidence throughout their time at Bethel, which was more than simply textbooks and lectures. Brittany and Abby have always demonstrated that they are far greater than their circumstances. They are intelligent, motivated, and kind. Additionally, they reminded everyone in attendance that your body may influence your life by pursuing their passion for teaching. However, it is not allowed to restrict it. Their lives have always been surrounded by public scrutiny, which has gotten louder with each significant event. Abby and Brittany have always been watched, from the time they learned to walk until they graduated from college and became teachers. And not only in a girly, encouraging manner. Awe, wonder, and regrettably, intrusive curiosity have all been present. Speculation in the media about their private lives frequently veers into awkward terrain, particularly when it comes to Abby's marriage. You owe the world a better answer, a TV crew member even dared to suggest. However, Britney quickly put an end to that, stating, "I owe the world nothing. Furthermore, neither Abby nor I owe the world anything." And can you really blame them? One of the most obvious indications of their strength and maturity is their capacity to retain privacy and set boundaries. They have consistently demonstrated that it is possible to lead an audacious and genuine life without succumbing to the demand of showcasing everything. They have maintained that being in the spotlight does not entail sharing every detail of your emotions with the public. Therefore, the announcement of Abby's marriage was more than just news. It sparked a whole new round of discussions. People began discussing everything from autonomy and personal choice to identity and love. Everyone had an opinion all of a sudden. How could such a partnership function, some wondered. Was it difficult? What was Britney's mood? Is this even conceivable as normal? However, there were equally as many proponents as detractors. People viewed Abby's marriage as a daring declaration that physical constraints don't matter in love. It can survive and flourish in spite of what society views as conventional or expected. It turned into a practical illustration of how love can cut through boundaries created by prejudice and presumption as well as physical barriers. People ask questions, of course. What do the three of them have ahead of them? Will Britney find love in the future? How will their lives change over time? Although those are intriguing topics, the truth is that they don't define Abby and Britney's story. Rather, their impact extends beyond their private lives. They have had a significant influence on the children they teach. They teach more than simply spelling and math in their courses. Acceptance, curiosity, and empathy abound in their environment. Their pupils get knowledge beyond academics. They understand what it means to accept diversity and cooperate. Additionally, Abby and Britney provide a distinct perspective to their teaching due of their personal experiences. They are the best at working together as a team. They have the ability to overcome obstacles. Every day, they demonstrate to their kids that they can accomplish challenging tasks and yet have fun doing them. Not only do they educate, dispel prejudices, assist others in unlearning presumptions, and promote more acceptance through their work. They are living examples of how perseverance and solidarity can overcome great obstacles. It's no surprise that their quest continues to enthrall people worldwide. The novelty of their circumstances is not the only thing that draws people in. They are admired for their love, strength, and heartfelt and honest handling of life's challenges. They have questioned conventional notions of connections and identity. And they have imparted a valuable lesson to us just by living a genuine life. Life may still be lovely even when it becomes complicated. Abby and Britney serve as a reminder as they continue to navigate adulthood. That you are not need to conform to the typical version of yourself. You must live your life as it truly is for you. Speaking of twins that changed the rules, let's look at something even more intriguing: uncommon twins that baffle doctors and demonstrate the extremes of human growth. The majority of us are aware with identical and fraternal twins, but the realm of uncommon twin varieties is even more fascinating. These instances are so peculiar that they have perplexed physicians and scientists. Let's begin with one that is really fascinating. Twins that are mirror images. Though there is a twist, these twins are technically identical. The other is left-handed if one is right-handed. When a birthmark appears on one side of the body, it appears on the other. They may even separate their hair in different directions. The name comes from the fact that they appear to be reflections of one another. This occurs because the fertilized egg separates between days 7 and 12 following conception, which is a little later than normal. It may not split if it splits later, which could result in conjoined twins, you guessed it. Then, things become even more astounding. The parasitic twins are with us. This one is uncommon and, to be honest, a little sad. One twin in these situations is not fully developed and must rely on the body of the other twin to survive. Conjoined twins, in which both are mostly created, are not the same. An additional limb or organ could be the appearance of a parasitic twin. On occasion, it is not even visible from the outside. It can be concealed within the body of the other twin. Fetus in fetu is the term for this condition. It's crazy. These uncommon twin kinds demonstrate the complexity and unpredictability of human development. The outcome can be drastically altered by a few days of difference in the womb. Even though these incidents are extremely uncommon, they offer us a fresh perspective on how amazing and enigmatic people can be. In China, a 1-year-old girl began to experience some really odd health problems. After conducting all the standard tests in an attempt to determine the cause, doctors found a startling discovery. A developing fetus was discovered within her cranium. It turned revealed to be her twin's underdeveloped fetus inside her cranium. Fetus in fetu is an uncommon condition that occurs in around 1 out of every 500,000 births. One of those things that causes you to pause and go on. How could that be? And when it comes to twins, there are more crazy tales. Semi-identical twins are an uncommon kind of twin. They are not quite fraternal, nor are they exactly the same. They fall somewhere in the middle. After being fertilized by 2 sperm, the same egg divides. Although it seems like it shouldn't even occur, it does. It indicates that the twins are half-matching on their father's side but identical on their mother's. There are just 2 instances like this that are known to exist. 2. Then there are polar body twins, which are quite uncommon. Although this is more of a theory than a medical diagnosis, the concept is intriguing. It occurs when an egg splits before fertilization and each half is fertilized by a different sperm. The twins would share roughly 75% of their DNA if that were to occur. Though not exactly the same, they are closer than fraternal twins. Although there aren't any documented cases yet, experts continue to debate this intriguing hypothetical scenario. Chimerism is one that sounds like it would fit right in with a science fiction film. This is the early fusion of 2 fertilized eggs to become a single individual. In the end, that individual has 2 sets of DNA. Take a moment to imagine that. It's possible that you have 2 distinct blood types or skin tones on either side of your body. A singer and model named Taylor Moole experienced that when she found out she had 2 sets of DNA during some medical testing. Although it sounds intriguing, it can also lead to serious health problems. One set of DNA can occasionally be attacked and treated by the body, like an intruder from abroad. Then there is heteropaternal superfecundation, which is the most extreme. A lady had intercourse with 2 separate males at around the same time after releasing 2 eggs during the same cycle. A new man fertilizes each egg. The twins have 2 more fathers. It's true. Although it is uncommon in people, it does occur. Animals like dogs and cats are slightly more likely to have it. However, when it manifests in humans, a DNA test is typically required to determine what's going on. Superfetation is just when you think it can't get much stranger. This occurs when a woman becomes pregnant while already carrying a child. Doesn't that sound impossible? However, it has occurred in a few extremely rare instances. Once the first egg has been fertilized and implanted, a second one is released. She is now expecting 2 children after the second one is also fertilized. Conceived at various points in time. One can be weeks ahead of schedule. Although that type of pregnancy is extremely dangerous and complex, it is one of the strange things that the human body is capable of. Identical twins sharing a placenta is a common occurrence, however there is a more severe kind of twin pregnancy. Monochorionic monoamniotic, or MOMO for short, is the term for it. These twins are floating around in the same amniotic sac in addition to sharing a placenta. In theory, it's lovely, but it's dangerous. It can be hazardous when their umbilical cords become twisted. However, there are instances when things turn out, like as with the Australian brothers Alan and Neville Helmuth, who were MOMO twins. Despite the odds, they collaborated as sonographers and radiographers. How awesome is that? Most people believe that twins must be fraternal if they are male and female, because that's usually the case. Rarely, though, a genetic error may cause identical twins to be of different sexes. One twin may remain male while the other loses a Y chromosome and becomes feminine. Conditions like Turner syndrome, in which the female twin lacks all or a portion of one X chromosome, can also result from it. It utterly undermines the notion that identical is equivalent. Furthermore, a set of twins was born in two different countries. It took place in 1976. One baby was born in Wales, and the other was born in England 75 minutes later. Due to timing and location, they were born in two different hospitals and ultimately had distinct birthplaces. Talk about an experience that you will remember for the rest of your life. These tales demonstrate how chaotic, difficult, and uncertain childbirth and pregnancy may be. Sometimes everything goes according to plan, and other times nature throws a curveball. Rare situations like a baby growing inside a sibling's skull, twins with different fathers, or someone discovering they had two sets of DNA demonstrate how much we still don't know about the process of growing a human, or sometimes two at once. There are also conjoined twins whose lives are even more inspirational. Not only due of their physical proximity, but also because of everything they endure and manage to do in spite of the difficulties. For instance, consider Chang and Eng Bunker. They shared a liver and were linked at the chest when they were born in Thailand in 1811. They lived their whole lives physically attached because there was no safe way to separate them back then. However, they continued to live their lives to the fullest despite that. After touring the globe and achieving fame, they finally made North Carolina their home. Together, they had 21 children and even married two sisters. Yes, 21. They built loving, familial, and purposeful lives rather than merely surviving. Their narrative demonstrates that being unique need not equate to being constrained.